Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of First and Last. I believe this is 167.
Oh, the illustrious
age.
167.
Yeah, the age in which Joe will live to.
Cool. I'll take it.
Saw the
Yeah.
future? Looks good for Joe.
Everyone
Everyone else will be dead
Right, yeah.
on the planet.
Like, literally the whole planet.
It's an
It'll
I
just
Am
be-
Legend situation.
Yeah, I will be the last man on Earth.
He's just Will
I
Smith.
will wish for death, but it will not come.
Oh, my God. Great start.
Well, my name is Josh. With me, we have future 167-year-old fate of humanity, Joe.
Hey, man.
Is with me. And
That's all I have to
Spaghetti
say.
Jim, the one and only.
Sup, dogs.
Who's Jim? Who's gonna live a normal life, unremarkable?
Yeah, and it's Jimmy.
Yeah, I'll
He's
be
gonna
dead
die
pretty early. I
He's
found out
surprised
that
he lived to 30.
I found out that Wendy's serves breakfast now, so I'll be gone soon.
Mm.
Oh my God, yeah. Now that you're not up late enough to go through the drive-through at like 1 a.m, you can wake up early and get
No.
Wendy's breakfast and kill yourself that way.
Sounds right.
I don't know, man. Wendy's breakfast. I feel like I need to look that up. It seems like it would be weird.
Nah.
Is it weird?
Breakfast Frosty. They are
Oh,
not a
man.
sponsor, if you were wondering.
No, we haven't made it that big. Or Wendy's.
Mm.
Honey butter chicken biscuit. Okay.
Oh, is this what we're doing now? We're like,
Oh, I'm looking at the Wendy's breakfast. You talked about it. They have croissants.
ooh, do love a good croissant.
It looks all right. It looks fine. It looks like they're trying to be fancier than Wendy's. At least their pictures are. Whatever. I'll try it.
Oh,
if
they've
I'm
been
ever
getting
awake.
fancy lately. Like every couple of years, they do like a pretzel bun because that's the thing. And
Yeah,
you know,
you gotta. Yeah, if you're not cool, unless you got pretzel on your bun. Hey Joe, what's this podcast about though?
We take a TV show, one show a week, and watch only the first episode. And we talk about it, make our predictions, and then watch the last episode and see if any of them hit. They usually don't, and I promise you, I make I make predictions that I think can honestly happen, but I don't think I have a point yet this season.
I pretty
really?
confident you have at least half of a point.
because you got a half
technicality.
last week.
Yeah, I mean, I could peek and see if you have points. I hid the totals, like I usually do, so I don't know who's winning. I mean, I can tell you very confidently, Joe is not winning.
Yeah.
This season so far, but
Like, I'm honestly trying, and it seems like after like 150 something episodes, like there are certain things that you could like just surefire hit on. Like, I think last week I said there'd be a wedding and there wasn't.
right.
Like, I tried to go easy.
I mean, I feel your pain, Joe. Last week I said there'd be a blimp and there wasn't, so we were both so
Yeah,
close.
Things that, you know, are in every finale.
Blimps and weddings, yeah, for sure.
A wedding on a blimp.
Well, I don't think there's gonna be a blimp in the finale of the show we're watching this week. It's your pick, right?
Yeah, my
Joseph?
pick. We've done some kind of lighthearted comedies the past couple weeks, so I wanted to pick something serious
Joe shows.
and weird. So this week I've brought the DVDs for Twin Peaks.
Oh yes, I'm so excited.
Um,
Have you seen any of this, Joe?
I've not seen any of it,
Oh wow.
and I was just
buckle
looking
up.
at the David Lynch Wikipedia, and I don't think I've seen any of his other shows or movies.
Oh seriously? You
Yeah,
are in
man,
for a ride.
I mean, I'm also in for a ride. Maybe not slightly as much as Joe's ride, but I can honestly say I feel like this is one of those shows that this podcast is a bad idea to do.
yeah, for sure.
Because right off the bat, I feel like this show is a show that I should really like. Just in general, this should just be a show that I would really like.
Here's
And
the thing.
and
Yeah.
I'm worried that the ending is gonna make me not watch it, just because I'm like, well, now I know what happens.
Well, here's the thing: is that if you've watched anything of David Lynch's, you could watch that one thing and not know at all what happened.
This is this is true.
He's a very eccentric writer. It's really like he wrote Mulholland Drive, excellent film, but like you could watch that movie 10 times and have 10 different outcomes of what you think happened.
I have watched that movie at least 10 times, and I have no idea what that movie's about.
And I feel like Twin Peaks. So I started watching this, and I think I'm through. I was through the first season and maybe an episode or two, and I somehow fell off. Some network show must have come back on that I stopped and didn't continue this. But it's wild. So good.
Yeah, I don't even know like what kind of wild it could be. Like, is it just weird? Like,
it's like intrigue wild, like kind of old school whodunit, but just mixed with weird and kind of fantasy of the sci-fi genre side.
I have no idea. I have no idea what to expect except that it's in like the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah. Wait,
yeah.
West or East?
It's Pacific Northwest.
There's no Pacific Northeast.
Yeah. No. I when I watched this, I imagined it was on the East for some reason, but I think that makes more sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they keep saying Seattle, and he didn't understand why. It was weird.
No, it's Twin Peaks, dude. That's the name of the place.
Spoiler.
Well, I'm just saying like they were saying things like towns nearby or something, you know. I have seen at least this pilot and maybe an episode into it, but not even heavily watching. I just feel like I've never given it its time of day, to my detriment. I think I don't know why, but I just haven't. So I know the basic concept of essentially what the first episode, what they're trying to figure out, but I wouldn't be surprised if that doesn't have anything like that. It lasts for a while and it's still part of the plot, but there's probably fucking aliens and shit too. Who knows?
So
David Lynch.
Two things, and then I'll shut up. One, Joe, did you think of this because we were just last week talking about Kyle what's his face?
I just watched a YouTube video on how to pronounce his name, and it's McLaughlin.
Oh, nice. Oh, yeah. Okay. Now that I hear it, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Kyle MacLachlan was in the finale of Portlandia last week, and we mentioned that. I mentioned that he's in Twin Peaks.
Oh yeah, the mayor.
Yeah.
Also of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
No, I came up with the show because as I was eating dinner a minute ago, I realized I hadn't thought of a show yet. So I opened up Netflix, and that was suggested for me, and I was like, good call, Netflix.
Way to go. Pretty solid last minute pick, I would say.
Yeah.
I think in the end, maybe no matter what, I feel like we're all gonna know this is a good show. I'm confident in that.
Mm-hmm.
But we have a little elephant in the room to go over, don't we, Joe? When it comes to its seasons and releases.
Oh, yeah. Because I barely know just like it's the Pacific Northwest and that it got canceled, but I was looking at the Wikipedia. It came back in like 2017 on Showtime. There was another season, and it's like listed on Wikipedia as the third season, so I assume it just like continues on. But for the purposes of our like podcast here, we're just gonna do those first two seasons as they originally aired to get the that classic 1990s experience of seeing something cool, then having it get ripped away from you.
Right. Exactly. I mean, also when something comes back 18 years later, I don't know if you can go, well, you got to watch all three because obviously they were planning it. You know, that's not.
Oh, man. I'm already getting excited. I didn't watch any of, well, because I never finished the original. I never watched any of the continuation. I want to call it a reboot, but that's not really what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a name for that? A reimagining.
It's just the third season. I think it just carries on.
Okay.
I assume it's like
All right.
20
Yeah,
years
there's a name.
Later, but
There's a name. It's
It
season
just pretends
3,
like it's the
Jimmy.
next day.
yeah.
A lot of CGI. It's like a Disney Star Wars.
I was gonna say I haven't seen anything about this, but I have played an Xbox 360 game called Alan Wake.
Okay. So you think that's the same thing, or what?
I feel like I've either been told or I read somewhere that like Alan Wake takes a lot of its atmosphere from Twin Peaks, which if you don't know Alan Wake, it's like a guy who's a writer who like goes out somewhere in the Pacific Northwest to like write his book, and weird creepy stuff starts happening.
It's about accurate.
Mm-hmm.
Have
Like
you guys...
ghouls off with flashlights.
Yeah, you gotta shine the darkness out of them, and then shoot them.
Oh, okay. Did you guys see, this is, I don't know if this is still like faux pas. It has to be. But the show Louie with Louis C.K.
I have
think it-
not,
Was it?
but I'm aware of the person.
I've seen bits of it, yeah.
HBO. It was basically like a spoof, kind of a dark comedy on his own, on Louis C.K.'s own life, which watching it and then seeing how his real life unfolded made a lot of sense. If you had been following
It adds
along.
up. It all adds up.
But in the
Wow,
show,
this show's strangely revealing now that I know the
Yeah.
future.
But in the show, he has an agent who's like a 15-year-old kid who was just like what he feels like his agent must have been in real life at some point. And he gets him this audition with a guy, and it's just David Lynch, the director, and he's just weird as shit, and it's excellent. So he's got some actor credits too, to see some weird David Lynch roles.
Okay.
Well, Joe, since you're the only one that's not really seen anything, and you have played a video game that you heard might resemble it, sort of,
Yeah.
do you think you want to try to get into what we might see in this first episode before we do it?
Sure. The one thing I do kind of know is that there's some sort of mystery. Like I think it's like a whodunit murder mystery. But yeah, so I think that like there's like the person new in town, like maybe it is a writer again, and maybe the Alan Wake thing is like directly from that, and it's like a novel. It's a mystery writer who goes to this town to try to get some inspiration for his book, and it turns out that there was a murder, and he tries to solve the murder himself, like against the advice of police. So in the beginning we get some clues, and this writer is like, I think by the end of the first episode, he has like someone who he's pretty sure did it, but he needs to investigate more, or he's got like, maybe not pretty sure, maybe he's got like 3 suspects that he's like, I gotta figure out what's going on. And then we spend the rest of season 1 investigating those suspects.
Is this just the plot of Alan Wake that you're describing?
No, there's not a murder in Alan Wake. I think he's like trying to find his wife who went missing.
Yeah,
Was she
Alan Wake
murdered?
is kind of like Silent Hill, but not in the town of Silent Hill. I know it's a writer.
All right.
And instead of
Sounds
sexy
dope.
ghoul nurses, there's shadowy ghoul figures.
Mm-hmm.
Sexy ghoul nurses?
Hey man, play Silent Hill.
Ah.
Or watch Twin Peaks, maybe. We'll find out. First episode is called Pilot, but it also has another title called Northwest Passage. So I'm going with that. Thank you, David Lynch.
Cool.
Every single episode is just called like episode 2, and then it has a name. So they kind of, for some reason, gave it quote unquote 2 titles. One just telling you what number it is. So let's watch the first episode of Twin Peaks called Northwest Passage. We'll be back after that. We are back from the first episode, or the pilot of Twin Peaks. It's also called Northwest Passage. Jimmy, you got a write-up for this twisted
sure
tale?
Do. Josh.
Thanks.
By the way, so this episode's called Northwest Passage because that was what, for a time, this show was going to be called. After they changed it to the Pacific Northwest from the North Dakota plains, which would have been just terrible. No one wants to see that. Okay, Northwest Passage. In February 1989 in Twin Peaks, Washington, homecoming queen Laura Palmer is discovered murdered near a riverbank. Soon after, Laura's classmate Renette Pulaski is found beaten in a fugue state, prompting idiosyncratic FBI agent Dale Cooper to travel to Twin Peaks to assist Sheriff Harry S. Truman in the investigation. Finding a piece of paper under Laura's fingernail bearing the letter R, Cooper suspects a serial killer responsible for a similar murder 1 year earlier may have struck again. Discerning from Laura's diary and her best friend Donna Hayward that Laura was having an affair and was a cocaine addict, Cooper suspects more sinister goings-on in Twin Peaks than meets the eye. Truman arrests Laura's boyfriend Bobby, who is having an affair with married woman Shelley Johnson. Deputies Andy Brennan and Tommy Hawk Hill discover the crime scene, an abandoned railway car containing half a locket and a message written in blood reading, "Fire walk with me." Overhearing her parents' conversation with Truman, Donna realizes that James Hurley, Laura's secret lover, has the other half of the locket and persuades him to bury it. Laura's mother, Sarah, has a nightmare depicting someone unearthing the locket. Dun dun dun. And 1,000 love triangle plots.
Yeah,
Also.
everybody's fucking, man.
or smooching at the very least.
Nah, they're banging.
Yeah, and
Literally.
and not their own wives or husbands or girlfriends.
No.
Somebody else.
Not a single happy couple in the bunch.
Yeah.
Balls.
Yeah, I feel like halfway through that, I was just like, man, everybody's kissing, huh? Is that anybody?
I was feeling bad for the people who weren't kissing by towards the end of this. I was like, oh man, sheriff's got nobody. And then 2 seconds before the end, all of a sudden he rolls up and he's secret smooching the owner of the lumber mill.
There are some characters that you literally don't know anything about them except that they're having an affair with another character.
Yeah, Big Ed and that one lady from the diner.
Yeah.
And
Just
Big
the lady
Ed's
from the
dating
diner.
a Quentin Tarantino villain who's only his wife.
His wife, yeah, Nadine.
His wife who's got an eye patch.
And she's clearly insane.
Oh,
Good
that was pretty
times.
good.
It's very much soap opera-esque.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was. Oh my God, there's so much stuff, and it's almost in it seemed like it was gonna ask so many questions and not solve anything, but every time it the show gave you what biker is this guy? And then it was next scene, yeah, it's James. That's what we're talking about. And you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it at least guides you to the next step. It's not leaving a thread hanging for too long.
It really didn't leave. I mean, obviously the biggest thing that the whole pilot set up was obviously who killed Laura Palmer. It was what we're trying to figure out.
Mm.
Also, 1,000 smooching side plots.
Yeah. You get the picture that you're going to learn a lot more about everything that's going on in this town and not just stuff to do with the murder.
Right. Because almost everything that there was a question mark on the murder, at least small little new things, all those got like answered like right away, like who's on the bike, and then like who's Donna trying to go meet, and then those actually both were James, but
Yeah.
And then Donna's smooching James.
yeah, and of course, well, because James didn't have anybody to be cheated on with anymore, so he needed another person.
Yeah. But Donna's boyfriend is a douche named Mike, who's best friends with Bobby, who's banging the diner waitress Shelly, who's married to an abusive trucker named Leo. Man, there's a lot of arrows on my notes.
whose picture with his semi-truck was featured in Flesh World, the magazine that Ronette Polinsky was in.
Yeah, so we don't know what that's about. This high schooler.
That was in Laura's safety deposit box for some reason.
You don't have a copy of Flesh World in your safety deposit box?
If I had a safety deposit box, I feel like that's the first thing I'm going to put in it. My copy of Flesh World.
It's the nudie mag. Single nudie mag.
Butts
Also the single
magazine.
nudie mag of like the high school girl that's in it too.
Ugh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yikes.
So maybe I'm not going to have that. No, I'm going to pass.
Great.
I will say, however, really quick, that my favorite character in this whole show so far is Log Lady.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
Josie?
Well, I remember. I
No.
took a note of Log Lady.
No, Jimmy.
What is Log Lady?
Log
Catherine?
Lady. They call her Log Lady.
Yeah.
That's literally
What?
they're sitting in the town hall meeting. The lady is the lady that's flicking the lights on and off. Agent Cooper goes,
Oh.
"Who's her?" And then Harry, also Sheriff Harry S. Truman. So okay.
Yeah. What's the deal with that?
Interesting.
He goes, "Oh, that's Log Lady." And then Agent
Yeah.
Cooper's like, "What's up with her?" "Oh, they call her the Log Lady."
Yeah.
And she's holding a log while flicking the lights.
Yeah, as people are walking into this
Oh.
town hall, like the sheriff's just giving them the lowdown about like, oh, this is this person. He's trying to make this happen. And then there's just a
Yeah.
lady carrying a log, and he's just like, yeah, we call her the Log Lady.
Yeah.
That way they just
Pretty much it.
shoehorned that in.
There's a lot of little, just weird humor like that strewn
Yeah.
about.
I wrote that one down, and the other one I wrote down was there's a scene where Agent Cooper and the sheriff like walk into like a conference room, and there's just like a mounted head, a deer head that's just like on the conference table, and the lady who lets them in is just like, oh, it fell down, and like that's it for the scene. Now there's just a head on the table.
You know, it happens.
But like why like why is that part of the scene that they walk in, there's a head there? Like it had nothing to do with any of the actual things happening. It's just a weird thing.
I just feel like there's
Yep.
always got to be something in a scene to like take you away from what's happening in the scene somehow.
Yeah.
There's always a distraction
Mhm.
within like David Lynch's scenes. I mean, not necessarily, but there's just so much weird stuff as a whole going on around that's confusing you on what the actual main plot is.
Mhm.
Because
I
I
think-
bet,
Yeah.
because I just feel like there's so, based on all the smooching that occurred, I bet a lot, like some of that has to do with what actually you're trying to figure out in this, and then some of it's just crazy weird side stuff that's basically meant as a deterrent for you to be able to like figure out the who done it.
Mhm.
Right.
Gives you some time to think. I mean, I don't think the write-up mentioned Audrey at all.
No,
No,
it
I
didn't.
guess not. It didn't.
Which
It did
like
mention a lot of people.
yeah, but like Audrey is this girl. She's a student, and like for a lot of it, it's just like it'll just like cut over to Audrey in the classroom, and she's making a weird face while like people are crying. But then there was another scene too where like, because I guess she's the daughter of the person
Yeah.
who owns the lodge.
Yeah, the big Horn family moguls.
Yeah. and there's like a deal going on where they're like trying to attract these like Norwegian investors.
Yeah.
And so she walks into the room of investors, and like the one like person who's like leading them or whatever, he's like, "Hey, what are you doing here, young pretty lady?" And then she like proceeds to say that like her classmate just got killed, and like there's a bunch of people dying in the town, and like scares them off, and she's like having a great time with it. And I'm like, what is this?
Yeah. Some intense daddy issues is what that looked like.
Like, it made me like suspicious of like the situation, but I was like, does this have to do with the girl that got murdered, or like, or is this just some side mischief?
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
Does anything Audrey's doing at all have any bearing on the actual story?
Oh yeah, I was left wondering that.
so like Leland, who's Laura Palmer's dad, is seen at the very beginning. He works with the mogul guy, Horn.
With Mr. Horn.
Mr. Horn, and I wrote down his name. It's somewhere on this. There's too many characters. I can't find his name. And he finds out they're in a meeting with the Norwegians when Leland finds out that Laura's dead. And Leland is. Do you guys recognize him? Ray Wise. He's in Mad Men, and he's in Good Night and Good Luck, which is a great movie. Anyway, he's in stuff.
I think I weirdly didn't recognize anybody.
Yeah, some people like look like they're like, have I seen you before? But nah, just Leland. So then right before Audrey goes in there, like, two people working at the lodge are talking, and they're like, don't mention this chick's death. It will blow this all up. And so then she overhears that, and she walks right in there. And then she sees her dad screaming with the Norwegians, and she's just hysterical.
Yeah. I also
Laughing.
forgot that like right before that, in the scene where she's listening in and like hearing that conversation about don't mention the murders, she's like messing with this like styrofoam coffee cup with coffee in it, and she's got like a pencil jabbed in it, and she's like, "Hey, I wonder what would happen if I just like pulled this out." And like the I don't know if that's the it was some like worker that she was sitting next to that had like a desk full of papers, important
Probably
papers.
like the hotel manager or something.
Yeah. And she was like, "I wonder what would happen if I pulled this pencil out of this cup, like out of the hole in this cup." And she's like, "Don't do it, Audrey." And then she just like pulls the pencil out, and of course coffee goes everywhere on like papers. And I'm
That
just
lady did like also pick the cup up then and like spill it more on the
Yeah.
thing, and like
She did a bad
acted like
job.
she had no idea how like towels worked and was like stamping that. It was like, lady, you lost all motor functions all of a sudden.
Like I would be moving papers and like trying to like get stuff dried off, but she was just
Yeah.
like,
she was just smearing coffee farther out into.
She made it worse. Yeah.
She
Yeah.
made it much worse. I like how this show seems it's like equal. It's not maybe not equal parts, but it's a fair amount of like very serious mystery almost, and just like at times gross. You can't even look at it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, and that's like really serious, and not in like a gratuitous way, but in like a serious way. And then it does things like, oh, we call her Log Lady, and it just shoves in like comedy,
Yeah.
and obviously just the oddity of all of it. Every single bit of it is odd,
yeah,
in a way. Even when it's serious, and even when it's silly, it's still like quirky.
Yeah.
I feel like personally, I think if someone sits through this entire thing and just watches it, I don't understand how you don't go, I just really want to know what's going on and like want to like watch more.
yeah. I
Yeah.
need to figure this out.
I was ready to roll into episode 2. I really like this style of you said it. It's weird, and it's just David Lynch. It just
Right.
makes you
And I mean, I could see people just being like, I don't like this. like, just like because it's odd and stuff. So I can see how taste would definitely be involved. So there's just some people that'd be like, no, just no. But also for everybody else, then it's just like enough to be like, all right, I need to at least watch number 2 to see what the hell's going on.
Speaking of turnoffs, there is a lot of like hysterical crying for the first half hour of the show.
Yeah.
Just anytime somebody new finds out about the death of Laura Palmer, whether it's like the photographer with the cops or her parents or
you mean
friends.
you mean Deputy Andy? That was just
Andy.
like Deputy Andy.
Yeah.
He cried multiple times.
Like
He's
the
a crier.
principal. Like there's just multiple scenes of people not just like being sad and crying, but like hysterically crying.
Weeping. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. And and I think that is what's cool about all the like odd eccentric humor throughout, is that like it would be, this episode would be impossible to watch without that. Because it's either so sad, or like you've got Special Agent Dale Cooper like digging for like a really long time into a dead woman's fingernail, like
Oh God,
with
he
a
went
pair
too
of tweezers
far.
so deep.
He went so deep. She was dead, and I was like, no.
Ugh.
It was not okay. That scene, I hated that scene.
Also, I read that scene, there's a fluorescent light that was like half out that was flickering, and that was just happening, and he decided to go with it because it was disconcerting. They just added a line about it.
I love it. He was like, oh, hey, we're going to do this regular scene. Also, could you mention the light during your thing while you're talking to Agent Cooper? He's like, sure, yeah.
We're not going to fix that for you.
I mean, it worked perfectly.
great.
You couldn't have, I don't think, you couldn't have scripted it better.
It makes me think that like just one day on set there was a lady carrying a log that walked in, and they were just like, write her in. We'll call her the log lady.
She was just on the street outside. Get in
so
here.
Good. Oh, okay. I mean, well, we might as well just get into predictions. With this, there's so much more. I feel like we kind of went over how it feels and the things we liked about it, but we could like probably talk too far into it. We're not
there yet.
We're not a critique podcast, a plot critique podcast,
And I think with my predictions, like
also you should have watched the show while you listen to this podcast anyway. So come on, people.
Watch along with us.
So, wait, what about your predictions, Joe?
I was just going to say, I can maybe start with mine, because I think my predictions do speak a little bit to what I think the show is going for.
Okay.
So, I mean, that,
Nice.
kind of indicates what I got out of the pilot, which is, a lot of weirdness, but I also think that they do intend to tie stuff up. I think, this went 2 seasons, and I think that, it was kind of ungracefully canceled. But I think that they kind of knew that things were going down, so I bet that they just like got out everything that they wanted to. Maybe it was messy, but I think that like the mystery gets solved and all of that. So first and foremost, I think Laura's mom did it.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's not like, she's not at all one of the suspects, and I don't even think that we got like a secret smooch with her.
No one's secret smooching Laura's mom.
Yeah.
Come on now.
As
So-
far as she knows, she's smooching Leland.
Yeah, so I think that, it's going to take a long time to get all the way around it, but by the time they figure out the mystery, it all comes back to Laura's mom, and Laura's mom is a serial killer, apparently.
Okay.
That's
Yikes.
number one. The next one is that Agent Cooper, who is kind of weird and like is intrigued with like weird small things, and it seems like he's like learning to be a human. Like he's like getting human
It's an
lessons from.
AI.
Yeah, it seems like he's getting human lessons from the sheriff. And I was trying to place like, do I think he's an angel or a ghost or an alien or something? But I settled on alien. I think that Agent Cooper like is a real FBI agent, but his body has been inhabited by an alien.
Sure.
And he's here to learn about humans and why they kill. So I think that's
Yeah.
explained.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Kind of with that, I think that there's a new sheriff by the end here, and she's a woman.
Ooh.
Because I think that Agent Cooper has moved on from just trying to learn about like romantic relationships and wants to like kind of try to experience one. So I think he kind of has an affair with the new sheriff.
Nice. Yeah, he wasn't
Um,
getting any smooches either.
No, very much just observing. And then I think, while they did get out everything that they wanted in season 2, I think that they had intentions for moving on. So I think the season ends with a new murder to kind of propel what would have been a season 3.
Nice.
Oh, so a little bit of a cliffhanger.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Let's see it. Oh, I just dropped my predictions on the floor.
Haha, then I'll go.
Okay.
I have so in the first or somewhere I don't even know anymore. But Agent Dale Cooper is talking about how on his way up there he stopped at some place and had a great cherry pie. So I think in this episode Dale Cooper is eating pie. Dale Cooper eats pie. Number 1. Maybe at the cafe. I love how in this, you know what, I'll talk about it after. So my number 2, I also have that there's a new murder. So number 3, I think so a big thing in the town is the lumber mill. She was found like dead outside the lumber mill, and lots going on around that. I think we see a tree chopped down. There's lots of like transitional footage of just things happening in the town around whatever is going on, and I think that that's one of them. Tree coming down.
Okay.
Then, like I was saying about Sheriff, I was hoping he was going to get smooches, but then at the end he threw me a curveball, and he was totally smooching Josie Packard. So I think I had to scratch that out and write, I think Sheriff and Josie are engaged.
Okay.
I don't think they get married. I don't think we have a wedding.
They're just engaged to be married.
Oh
They're
my god.
engaged.
Would David Lynch do a wedding at the end to just go, we're all the same, fuckers?
Where everyone dies. It's the original Red Wedding.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, hey, I picked up mine, so I'm gonna do my predictions. So I think he was pictured as an obvious target to be the killer, and I think that the misdirection was trying to misdirect you from the obvious, to which that the trucker Leo killed Laura Palmer.
Okay.
So
He was Shelley's husband / the guy that was terrifyingly arguing about what smokes she has.
Yeah. The scariest person that we've seen so far, for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
So you're saying that you think that the pilot was pointing to him, and you think that that's
Yes.
obvious?
Well, I think the pilot obviously pointed at multiple people
Sure.
to be like, it's probably him, it's probably him, it's probably him, like maybe 2 or 3 people.
Sure.
Obviously him. It did it for Bobby for a little bit. It could still be Bobby, even though they let him go. And obviously now it's like, is it James? Because he was around. So there's other people that they obviously pointed at, but they actually pointed at him too.
Yeah.
I think they pointed at him via the Flesh World magazine, connected with the other girl, and just how creepy he is. Also, he's a trucker, so he could have killed the person on the southern half of the state a year ago easily while he was out trucking.
It's always truckers. Have you listened to true crime podcasts?
Yeah. So like logically it makes sense to him, and so since it's so logical that it is him, people would be like, well, this is so wacky, it wouldn't be him. So the misdirection is getting away from him, saying it's too obvious. But it's not. He was Leo. He did it. He killed her.
Nice.
All right. Number 2, Joe, I agree with you. Aliens are involved somehow.
Somehow.
I literally just wrote aliens are involved. So
Okay.
so we'll find out there. So then Donna, who was Laura Palmer's best friend, was hanging out with her and James, the biker guy, who was smooching on Laura, but then at the end of this episode ended up smooching on Donna. So I think James and Donna are dead or gone.
Oh.
But
Suicide, double suicide pact.
Yeah. Something like that. One other thing we didn't. So yeah, Agent Cooper, he's weird and he's like quirky, and he always talks into tape recorder to someone that he kept calling Diane.
Oh,
He's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
Diane, I need to talk blah blah blah. I think he's still talking to that tape recorder, but I think he's not talking to Diane anymore.
Oh. I thought
Like
you were going to say the tape recorder is Diane.
It might, I
He
mean,
just named it.
hopefully that means he just got a different tape recorder and it's named like Jonathan. And so, but when he talks in the tape recorder, he's no longer talking to Diane. He's talking to somebody else. And then I threw in a number 5 really quick. Log Lady's back.
You jerk.
She's back.
She's back.
Role now.
Holding 2 logs. Not just one. Logs Lady. That's what they call her.
Logs lady.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's right. Cool. All right. Well, we got a finale to get to, so why don't we do that? The finale of Twin Peaks was called Beyond Life and Death, and this is the end of season 2 because it's kind of was the finale until they brought it back, obviously. So that's the one we're watching just to make sure. June 10th, 1991, Beyond Life and Death. We will see you after that. All right, we're back from the finale-ish, I guess, of Twin Peaks from its first run back in the 90s called Beyond Life and Death. Do you have a write-up for this, Jimmy? Can you tell me what happened?
I'll give it a shot. Cooper must overcome his deepest fears as he tracks down Wyndham Earle, who has kidnapped Annie and has taken her into the sinister realm of the Black Lodge. That first sentence alone, I don't know what's going on. Meanwhile, Nadine awakens after being hit on the head during the Miss Twin Peaks pageant and is devastated after seeing Big Ed with Norma. Dr. Hayward engages in a tussle with Ben Horn, knocking him into the fireplace mantle as revenge for interfering with his family's affairs. The next day, as Truman and Andy wait for Cooper to return from the Black Lodge, Audrey stages an act of civil disobedience at the Twin Peaks Savings and Loan. Andrew and Pete obtain the safety deposit box key and try to unlock Thomas Eckhart's final box in the bank. The box contains a bomb left behind by Eckhart, which explodes when opened, apparently killing Andrew and Pete. Major Briggs receives a message from Wyndham Earle, who conveys it through Sarah Palmer. Oh yeah, that was creepy. Cooper embarks on a strange and fateful journey into the Black Lodge, which results in his ultimate downfall. Cooper bargains with Earle for Annie's life. Bob appears and takes Earle's soul. Cooper meets his own evil shadow self, and his shadow self emerges from the lodge with the soul of the doppelganger inhabited by Bob. Capital B-O-B.
Yep, totally.
Whatever that means.
I would have said that almost verbatim, having watched this episode.
That's what happened.
I would have told you.
Anything to
Joe.
add?
Hey Joe, how was True Lynch for you?
So I guess like on I'm just like at a loss of words. But just from like an objective standpoint of what we just saw, like if the episode was 50 minutes, the first 25 minutes were just like made no sense because we haven't seen the middle, right? I mean, did you guys know anything that was going on? It was just there was stuff happening, some of it weird, some of it kind of normal, but weird or normal. I had no idea what was going on.
Right, but it still also felt kind of like the show we had just watched in
Right.
episode 1.
Are you
And
saying
then-
the first 20 minutes? What happened in the first 20 minutes?
I mean, it starts out with like, the officials, the cops and agents in an office talking about stuff going on, and then they're like, "Oh, the log lady's coming," which is weird that the log lady is coming, but like,
Right.
it's a character we know, the log lady.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the stuff they're talking about, they're not sure what's going on. There's, I think, is that Heather Graham?
It really looked like her, but I don't think so. Let me
Okay. A young woman who looks like Heather Graham is getting dragged into the woods by some scary-looking man.
And I believe that lady's name was Annie.
It was Heather Graham.
Well, there you go.
Annie Blackburn.
And like those are things like my mind goes, that's bad. Right? Like I can understand what's happening there, even just from like a narrative standpoint of like, she doesn't want to go there. That seems bad.
Right, yeah.
And then once it gets to the bank and like Audrey from the first episode is like chained up there for some reason, that's where I'm just like, okay, this isn't that weird, but I really don't know what's happening.
Yeah, I don't get why she's doing this, but this seems in her character.
Right. And there's a few more scenes after that, and I honestly can't recall them because they didn't make sense to me, and that the last 25 minutes of the episode just blew any of that away. Right.
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm saying is the
Insane.
first, I think we're done talking about the first 25 minutes, right?
Yeah.
So the first 25 minutes is like, it's the TV show we've seen, a little bit weirder, but like we didn't really understand it because we hadn't seen the middle. And then, so Agent Cooper goes off into the woods where this girl was and like walks behind this red curtain that like magically appears. And then it's just like, I took a note that it was the most horrifying like thing I'd ever seen on TV. I don't think anything comes close. It was really, truly scary. Like, I mean, to me, maybe that's just what I find scary, but like there was a lot of like maniacal laughing and like staring into like breaking the fourth wall and like staring at the viewer and just like cackling and talking in reverse and strobe lights.
It was
unnerved.
purely uncomfortable. Like just pure uncomfortableness. Like not watered down or anything. Just like, oh God.
The thing about like
the whole time
David Lynch that this made me remember is like watching Mulholland Drive, just thinking like trying to understand if any of this, if this is just weird to be weird, or is this symbolism that I'm not understanding?
Mm-hmm.
Like why are they talking? Why are they filmed many sections of scenes in reverse while they're talking? Like why would you do that? But then, so then, like, we learn that they're doppelgangers. So maybe that those folks talk backwards, forward, and that's how you know.
Maybe.
But
I mean, and
don't
like,
know.
like another thing about this, so it's like, if I can try to describe it, it's like a series of rooms, but it's really the same room. It's like
two
walls.
rooms.
Yeah, it's like 2 rooms
Separated
connected
with a
by
hallway.
a hallway, but all the walls are these red curtains, and the floor is this black and white like zigzag pattern. And like the 2 rooms, like the guy keeps running in between, but like sometimes it's the same room, sometimes it's the same room but with like just different setup. Like sometimes there's chairs.
Sometimes there's nothing.
Yeah, and sometimes there's like a strobe light. And I think like part of the horror of that to me is that he keeps trying to run out of this place, but he keeps just like ending up back in the same place. There's like one part where like he like runs from one room to the other, and then like the little person in there is like, wrong way, and I'm just like, ah.
No.
That is like literally what my nightmares look like.
Yeah, during that scene I thought to myself, I might have really bad dreams.
Yeah. Like that's like
Ugh.
a common occurrence in my nightmares that I'm like trapped in some place and I can't like find an exit or way out, and I'm just like going in a loop.
Oh man.
But it didn't have the cackling.
Well, throw that in the mix.
Yeah, did you think Laura Palmer was going to become like the ghoul that you were scared of at the end of this
No,
show?
yeah, no. I mean, yeah, and she was maybe the scariest like
Yeah.
demon
Yeah,
in there.
She was really good at cackling.
Her screams were yeah. I don't know what else to say. And then the whole show just ended with the like main good guy is now some demon person,
That's kind of what I took.
and the credits roll.
Because he met this, well, the scary guy that was taking Heather Graham away. Cooper meets him in there, and he tries to make a deal for Cooper's soul. But then this, like, even scarier looking guy with long hair was like, no.
Bob.
This guy doesn't have jurisdiction to just, like, make a deal for your soul. I'm going to take his soul. And then, of course, cackles.
Right.
And then when eventually Cooper gets out, they wake him up from bed the next morning, and he's
but you forgot to mention that he was being chased by his like
his own doppelganger.
His
his
own
shadow
self?
self. Yeah.
yeah, there was a part where like his doppelganger like caught him, and I'm just like, oh, what happens now? Like that what?
What? Well, he wakes up. That's what happens.
Yeah,
now.
he somehow wanders out of there, and then when they wake him up the next day in like his pajamas, Cooper says, I have to brush my teeth, which is a weird thing, but like Cooper's a weird guy, so whatever. And then when he goes into the bathroom to brush his teeth, he just like squeezes out the tube of toothpaste and then smashes his head in the mirror, and you could see like the weird guy with the long hair in the mirror, and then he's like yelling, how's Annie, and like cackling again. I think it's the cackling, laughing, like maniacal thing that like really creeps me out.
Yeah.
I mean, it does a really good job when you do it over and over and over again, because
Yeah.
then it actually stops becoming like even weird, and you're just like, no, I don't like this.
Uh-huh.
It's all awful.
Yeah,
Hey,
this really
also,
it, like
hey, just
really
FYI.
induced some trauma on me.
the Log Lady was in 12 episodes apparently of this show.
Hey, way to go, Log Lady.
Bulk
Tying
of
it
the
together.
series. Bulk of
They should
the
just call the
series.
show Log Lady.
Yeah.
Twin Peaks : Log Lady.
I mean, hey, she was in 12. There was 30. She was in less than half. So, and that's not including the new season.
Fire Walk with Log Lady.
She might be in the new season.
Yeah, was she in the movie?
Fire Walk with Me? Don't know. Probably.
I want to know what Fire Walk with Me means.
She seems integral.
Right?
I bet a lot of people have watched 30 episodes and a movie and don't know what Fire Walk with Me means based on just David Lynch in general. I'm just curious. Yeah, it's like all of the regular show stuff happened and it was good. I was like, wow, he really kind of reined it in, you know. David, I've seen Mulholland Drive a lot. And Joe, you've never seen it?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine
A
it's
young Naomi Watts being Naomi
imagine
Watts.
it's Naomi Watts, but in that terrifying room. But the room's just a city, and it's not really that scary, but it's as weird and confusing as that whole room scene was. The waiting room, as the one guy called it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was really impressed with the first episode that was just weird and quirky, like definitely David Lynch feeling weird, but not this like insane fever of shots and noises like the last half of this episode. So I'm like, man, how much of that is in these 30 episodes? And because I feel like every time that happens, you go, well, I don't even have a chance of understanding. You know?
So you're saying you're gonna watch this? Is that?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, almost for sure, Lee.
I'm feeling. You remember a couple weeks ago, Joe when we watched Firefly and you're like, there's not enough Western in this space show.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's not enough whodunit in this supernatural show in this finale for me.
Okay.
It's off the rails.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also we're not dealing with a man who we're not dealing with just who killed a girl. It's like some gateway to another realm with doppelgangers or something and souls
Yeah.
being taken.
I mean, did you guys think that it would get that like supernatural?
I mean, I thought it was going to go. I mean, I would not have been like surprised at all if aliens would have shown up.
Yeah, I mean, I had aliens in my prediction.
Guessed.
Yeah,
but like I mean, I guess I could have seen like demons or something. I don't know. It just maybe it's the perspective of whatever is happening with this.
Mm-hmm.
It makes it even weirder, other than some guys like, "Oh, I'm the devil." Haha.
Mm-hmm.
But that would have been weird, and he would have done that too. Like some guy wearing a trench coat is now the devil in Twin Peaks or something. I could see that happening.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
it surprised me for TV that it got that wacky.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm,
mm-hmm.
Yeah, because this is network, right? This is like
Yeah, it was ABC.
ABC. Can you imagine?
It's like this followed by Urkel.
like 3 hours of Urkel.
TGIF.
Because it's 11 at night now. Man, yeah, I don't know. I was definitely reminded of why I stopped watching because it got so hard to follow and supernatural and weird. I do remember Bob once he popped in at the end. It's like, oh yeah, weird long-haired guy.
Yeah, I don't know who that person is at all, so just terrifying. That's all I know. Oh, okay. Well, I mean, so Joe, are you what? I mean, I feel like I have to keep watching this show. I feel like I have no choice not to, in honesty. But what are you thinking?
I think I need some time to process this. Maybe next spooky month or something.
Yeah.
You think
we'll
it
the Showtime season next spooky month?
Yeah.
Yeah. You think it fits far enough into like a spookiness? With that last bit was enough to be like, yeah, this can wait till I want a spooky thing in my life.
Yeah. Next October for spooky month, we'll do episodes 2 and 3. Just completely drop the premise of the show and just
2 and 29.
Just whatever, Okay.
By then, who knows?
Who knows? Maybe we'll have run out of TV shows and we are doing the second and the penultimate.
Man, we'll still be in pandemic, and so we will have watched all TV.
Yeah.
I'm watching, I don't know about you guys, I'm watching in just unprecedented amount of TV these days. Like
just all
like
of it.
hey Google, play Buffy on Hulu that's my crack cocaine right now. It's my high.
I'm into it.
Like Google's like, I think you've had enough. You're like, I'll tell you when I've had enough.
I'll switch to Bing, god damn it.
Yahoo Answers.
Don't judge me.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man, no Fleshworld in this episode.
No, missed opportunity.
Yeah, really messed it up. Should have been at all 30. Joe, you want to go through your predictions?
Yeah, I could go. I said Laura's mom did it. Jimmy, do you know if that's anywhere true?
Do you know who did it?
I don't
Yeah,
think
do you
you
know who
ever
did
find out.
Okay.
Hopefully in season 3.
I really did. I wrote down, we don't know who killed Laura Palmer, and then I scratched it out and wrote that the trucker guy did it. Because I was like, not even David Lynch could be that mean, right? You got to tell us.
We saw the trucker for a hot second when somebody brought him up, and it looked like maybe he was chained up and left for dead somewhere.
Either that or he had
alive.
he had a piece of like a rope around one of his teeth, and he was waiting for somebody to pull a truck away. It's kind of there was like a little something coming out of his mouth.
Could be.
All right, sorry, keep going, Joe.
So no points for that. Inconclusive. I said that Cooper's an alien. Which is definitely not. It seems like some sort of demon or otherworldly thing, but not
Well, it
aliens.
seems like Cooper was Cooper, just a regular dude until the end.
Oh
where
yeah,
he
until
got
the end.
switched.
He's not himself anymore. He's got to brush his teeth. There's a new sheriff, and it's a woman. It was still the same sheriff, Harry S. Truman.
Yep.
And then it ends with a new murder. Annie's fine, right? She's fine.
Yeah, they specifically said
Well-
that she would be fine.
Yeah.
Well, oh yeah, that's right. They did.
Yeah, because
But
he
was
said,
that
"How's
the
Annie?"
doppelganger? Annie's
I mean-
doppelganger. Are we led
Also,
to
he-
believe that? Who's to say?
We could, but it wasn't murdered either way.
Some people got blown up by a bomb.
That's true.
Yeah, they did.
The glasses just like flew off.
But
Like
supposedly,
those glasses made it from like the
oh, yeah,
basement of the bank into a tree, completely unhurt.
Outside. Yeah.
that old man banker who wore those thick Coke bottle glasses. That was that guy must have been 105 years old.
In 1991.
And they do this awkward long shots where he's just shuffling for minutes across the room as you just watch.
Yeah. Wild.
Lynch.
Was that all of them?
Yeah, that's it. No points.
No points.
I don't think I had any either. So, no one ate pie. There wasn't a new murder they were investigating, as far as we know. Oh, I didn't see a tree fall. There were pictures of trees in the distance, and then you don't know what's going on with the sheriff and Josie.
Yeah, no, Josie.
Her name was in the credits, but we didn't see her. Maybe she's dead.
Could be.
Could be dead.
She's probably dead.
Okay, well, my first one, so no for you. No points, Jimmy, right?
Nope.
Okay, well. So my first one was that I thought that Leo, the trucker guy, killed Laura Palmer. He was tied up somewhere or something, so inconclusive. I thought aliens were involved somehow. I guess if anything, it's demons and bad hoodoo, maybe. James and Donna are dead and gone, which unfortunately that even gets thrown out because we saw Donna at some point talking to her parents when she find out that that wasn't her dad. Is that what?
That's what it seemed like was happening. Yeah.
There was some side plot of Donna learning that that's not really her dad. So that's not it either. And then I said Agent Cooper isn't talking to Diane on the tape recorder anymore, but he didn't even use the tape recorder, so there's no way to know whether or not Diane. But guess who brought it home? The log lady is back.
Yeah.
Apparently, she's just a character. She's just a normal.
Her
name's
don't
like
bother to
Margaret.
learn her name.
No.
Her name is Margaret.
It was.
I'm pretty sure that's what that's what they called her. Agent Cooper, because everyone else kept calling her the log lady, and then when she walked into the room, Agent Cooper, I'm pretty sure, called her Margaret.
Well, then I didn't bother to learn her name.
Fair enough. All right. Well, I'll probably report back next week on how my watching of Twin Peaks is going, because I'm sure I'm going to watch a couple here
Nice.
during the Thanksgiving time.
I mean, it is, it is David Lynch, and it is really well. Like there are things that are well written about it. Like the whole town is very, like the town itself is a character, and I think that's cool. Like each setting is like a character. Like you have the sheriff's office and the cafe and the gas station and the mill. Like
The Roadhouse.
yeah, it's all very well.
Roadhouse.
Oh, those things about it are almost more important than like the characters sometimes and like the shenanigans.
Yeah, I mean, I think if it stays more like 90% first episode to 10% last half of last episode, then I think it'll keep me hooked the whole time. But if it gets more and more and more and more waiting rooms, backwards screaming like for half the episode, then it might start losing me, because that's just like it's gonna eventually hurt my heart so much that I'll just die while watching it.
I do feel like I have to watch it at some point. It's a cult classic.
Right. Yeah. So, all right, cool. Well, I guess that is what we think about the first and last of Twin Peaks. If you, listeners, want to hit us up for show suggestions or other comments and whatnot, you can do that at F&L Podcast on the Gmail or on the Twitters. That would be superb. Subscribe at 5 stars. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next week for just, such a 15 years in the making, that show that's coming up next week. Stay tuned. Goodbye.